What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dissect That Film, where we dissect your favorite films, film franchises, and TV. Today, on episode 50 of the podcast, we are finishing out the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy with the 2012 The Dark Knight Rises. I am your host, Brett Parker. Joining me, as always, is the wonderful Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming.
Hello.
How are we today?
Great.
Fantastic. She's had at least 12. She's at least 2 or 3 more drinks before we started. She's going to just sail through this great.
Wow. So nice.
It's the first one.
The first one since we started.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding.
So mean.
I'm just joking. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, The Dark Knight Rises, that's what we're talking about today. This is the final Batman movie we're going to be talking about in the next 2 weeks. Next week, we're going to be celebrating our 1-year anniversary. So we're just going to be having a fun live show, but we'll talk more about that at the end of the show. Let's go around the room as we always do and talk about our thoughts and our, maybe, talk about, you don't have to talk about just watching it recently, but talk about your history with this movie. And of course, we start with the wonderful DNA Gaming. Go for it.
Right. Yes. I got to go first.
You always get to go first.
Not always. No, not always. Fair. I was working in a movie theater when this movie came out. I was general manager of a theater. This is prior to Ridley being born. We went and seen this movie. So one kid, I remember going in. This was the only Nolan Batman movie that I watched in theaters. I don't know why, but this is the only one we did.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like I guess a little bit of a build up, but I loved the movie. I thought it was fantastic. I remember watching it. We watched it together. Did Victor go with us?
Yes, and he fell asleep.
Yeah, well, it was a long movie. He was like 4 at the time, so
He fell asleep in the chair.
that's fair. But really, I love the movie. I remember countless times, we used to do walkthroughs to make sure that nobody was, being stupid in movie theaters. And I would just stand there and watch that movie longer than I should have. And it's like, I ended up seeing that movie. I did the same with Pacific Rim. I ended up seeing that movie probably, if you really break it down, probably like 3 or 4 times in theaters. If you actually just break down me watching it while it ran, because we had it for like a month, because it was such a high-grossing film. But no, I adore this movie so much. I really, really do. It's probably up there with one of my favorite Batman movies ever. Not just because of the Bane memes, but I absolutely adore Bane. Memes aside, not me at all. Memes aside, I thought Tom Hardy did an amazing job as Bane in this. He could not have done the character better, in my opinion. The only thing they could have done is given him Venom, but it affected nothing in the story with him not having it. He still acted like Bane.
But he does get Venom, just in a different franchise.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, yes, he does.
He said, you know what? He said, you know what? Fucking Christopher Nolan screwed me over. He didn't give me the Venom, so I'm going to go be Venom. And
that's right. That's
okay,
right.
Tom, that's fine. Whatever, man.
You even had Eminem. Dude, he even got Eminem to write a song about him.
Oh, God. That song.
No, but it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It is a great fucking movie. I love it so much. It's just, we'll talk about more when we do our rankings, but I highly endorse this film. And Tom Hardy was one of my favorite parts of it, but I love pretty much everything about this movie. I just love how it played out. Felt great. Good way to wrap up that trilogy of films.
I agree. I remember watching it in the theater, and you get those movies where you get physically angry at certain parts, but then the opposite of what you think is happening happens, and you're like, I audibly gasped in one part of the movie because I was like, oh, I was so mad because I thought somebody was gonna go. I was like, oh no. And I almost cried because I'm like, no. And then later on you find out it doesn't happen. But yeah, I loved it. Loved it.
Also, a worth note for this, just a little side trivia. If it was not for this movie, I never would have read the entirety of Nightfall, which is the graphic novel series where Bane shows up Jean Paul Valley. Oh, he breaks Batman's back. Jean Paul Valley takes over, and then Batman has to beat the fuck out of Jean Paul Valley, Azrael, and take his mantle back. Which is like 3 huge graphic novels. And I bought all of them when this movie got announced. Yep. Coming up to it, I read every single one of them. Still have them upstairs. Great series of comics.
And you don't read much.
No, I don't.
Unless it's specific things like you...
Tab A into slot B, turn till click. Yeah, that kind of thing. Give me the picture box.
Yeah. Yes. No. Like
That was a Small Soldiers reference. If you really want to dig for it, that was a Small Soldiers.
I just watched that recently. That old Joe
really?
Dante.
I have not seen that movie. I have not seen that movie. I've not seen that movie since it was in theaters.
Joe Dante directed Gremlins.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's got those dark themes, man.
And The Howling, which, as of this recording, is celebrating an anniversary. So happy anniversary to The Howling.
I've never seen those. Those are like, aren't those like hypersexualized werewolf movies?
I think so. Never seen it.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I just thought I'd throw it in there since it's been posted all over Twitter. Yeah, I can't believe that it's already been almost 10 years for this movie. I mean, I remember going to see it in theaters like it was yesterday. You know, I saw it opening weekend because I love this trilogy. It's so good. It's just so good. It's crazy to think about. Like, I don't want to spoil like my rankings, but I'm just going to state like, this is probably my least favorite of the Dark Knight from the Dark Knight trilogy, but it's just, it's a good movie. When it's the worst, like for me, it's the worst of the trilogy, but it's still better than like more than 50% of the other Batman movies that have been made.
Well, and how many franchises go longer runs, 2, 3 movies, whatever, and then by the time they get to the end, they kind of like fall on their face.
Yeah,
and this franchise doesn't do that. I don't think. I think I love this movie. I'm biased as fuck.
It's a very divisive film, though, because there are a lot of people like us that support it and really love it. And there are a lot of people who don't like it that have really that they think that it's a huge drop off from The Dark Knight, which, The Dark Knight is one of those films that people just didn't expect to be as good as it was. So trying to live up to that film, it just to me is impossible. I feel that Christopher Nolan wasn't trying to surpass The Dark Knight. He was just trying to make a good conclusion to this trilogy. And I think he did a very good job with it. Even though there are a lot of things that I looked at and went, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. A lot of times in this movie, there were things I saw that were like, why are they doing that? Why does that look like that? It's weird. That's why it sucks when movies decide like, hey, for Gotham City, we're going to use Chicago as the backdrop. And you're going to notice things from Chicago.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing about the Burton films and the Schumacher, films is that they created their own Gotham City. They weren't using something that already existed. And then you had to just kind of expand your disbelief and be like, oh, okay, this feels like Gotham. This movie was the worst of the 3 when it came to like feeling like Gotham City, because you're like, that's New York City. That's literally New York City. And they added some bridges. And it didn't feel like Chicago, which was what The Dark Knight was set in. It was weird. It was weird.
Well, I thought other films that did that to kind of just differentiate themselves is I thought the Batman did a pretty good job of not feeling like whatever city. I don't even know what city it was based on.
It was just their own creation. It was Gotham. It made you feel like this is Gotham,
as it should be.
It does not exist in reality, so we need to make it as grimy and just dirty as the comics, depicted as, where Nolan kind of just picked a couple cities and was like, okay, we'll go with it.
Yeah.
Which
my comment about
which was one of my gripes. Oh, I knew I forgot to do something. I was going to wear this skips all the way to that scene, but the player who is running back the kickoff in the scene where everything blows up, he is my favorite football player. I have his jersey. I don't have the Gotham Rogue jersey. He's a Steelers player, former Pittsburgh Steelers player.
Of course, yeah.
Because that whole scene takes place at Heinz Field, which is the home of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've been in that stadium a few times. So I was gonna wear it, and I didn't, and now I'm mad at myself. But whatever.
What player was it?
Heinz Ward.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, you built up as my favorite player. You don't even mention it. I was like, where is it? We wouldn't at least know.
Funny thing is, never returned to kick in his entire career. but they made
except from that movie
because he wasn't very fast. So but it was pretty funny that they did that.
He was fast enough to keep himself alive in this movie.
Yes, I love it.
But that was
Great.
just my big gripe, because you've got this grimy city.
No, it got cleaned up.
Gotham is supposed to not be all lollipops and rainbows, and you've got happy football team, and like.
Well, I mean, I get that, but I agree with what Dan said. Like, they've been 8 years without really high profile crime, so they've been able to clean the city up. So it's kind of like, hey man, like, here we are, this is a new Gotham. And then Bane comes in and said, yep, I'm blowing it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't think they would have been able to get a football team and build a stadium.
Oh, they probably had one the whole time.
Yeah, they probably did. I mean, at the city that's large as Gotham's supposed to be, they should have some, even if not a top tier NFL team, they would have some kind of team like that.
Because they portray Gotham as like a New York City style city, where it's a big city in the country. Where it is, who knows? They never state what state it is. It's just, there's Gotham. At least it's not everywhere. At least it's not like Batman v Superman, where Gotham and Metropolis are right across the harbor from each other.
It's fine.
Oh goodness. We'll talk more about the movies we're going to be talking about later on at the end of the show. So when Tom Hardy got the role for Bane, he was very excited. He's very he worked out a lot. He loves working out. He got really big for this role. I don't think he got this big for a role since Bronson. I don't know if you've ever heard of that movie, where he is like an infamous he's a guy who literally loves being in prison. He was an infamous prisoner over in the UK for a long time. But he got huge for that role. Yeah, and he had not been that big. No, he's only 5'9". I mean, you've seen, we watched Venom. You watch a lot of other films with Tom Hardy. Like, he's not a very big dude, but he is just menacing in this movie.
Yeah, he is.
And he does it so well. Well, he stated in an interview that when he showed up on set and he was getting into his Bane outfit, he looked over at Christian Bale, who was just sitting in his chair, getting makeup or whatever, and he looked over and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat the shit out of this guy. Like, this guy cannot be a formidable foe for me." And then he said he got on set and Christian Bale showed up as Batman, and he said he became like a kid inside, because he's like, this is my hero from my childhood right in front of me, and I get to fight him. Yeah. And then they said that they said action, and he said, I never threw harder punches.
Yeah,
because I get to fight my hero.
Dude, oh god. Dude, some of the fights between the two of them later in the movie are so fucking good, dude. It's just a brawl.
Again, don't like the choreography for Batman in the fight scenes. I really like Bane because he's a lot faster, but Batman, I mean, listen, I understand Bruce has been out of the game for 8 years. He has not been Batman. He's kind of, he's dealing with a lot of injuries. I mean, geez, when he goes to the doctor and they tell him all the injuries he has, you probably shouldn't be go hella skiing or something.
I don't recommend that.
Yeah, I just thought that was funny. But like, I get that he's just been out of the game. He's not ready. He kind of rushed into the situation, and Bane whooped his ass and just made it even worse.
Yeah.
This movie is like, the emotions that it conveys is just so good, especially from Alfred. You just feel for this guy, because he is watching this man who he has taken care of since he was a baby. Like, he said, like, I can still remember hearing the cries, from wherever he was born in the mansion.
Mm-hmm.
And to see him kind of go down this path, he knows the end is just not, it's not a good end.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruce is so set, and like he believes that Rachel was gonna be with him, and when he stopped being Batman, and he has to kind of finish his mission to kind of have closure on that. And that's when Alfred whips out that, what if she didn't choose you? And it's just emotional, because it is like, how dare you do that to me, to make me stop? And Alfred's like, all right, dude, have fun. No hesitation, he just leaves. And I loved it.
Yep.
But the emotion that he conveys, not just in that scene, but even a later scene, you know, at the end, you're just like heartbroken for this guy because he tried everything he could to, you know, get Bruce to live a normal life, and he failed. He failed.
Because he was gone for a good portion of the middle of the movie.
Oh yeah. He wasn't. He
Which,
leaves
for good
probably
reason.
in the middle. Yeah, he probably mid film. He's gone.
Yeah,
And Bruce has to figure shit out himself.
Because he says, "You would leave because I would fail," and Alfred said, "No, I'm afraid you want to."
Yeah.
I was like, Alfred is breaking my heart.
Yeah.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine, there's the one. Yeah. So good. So good.
It's fantastic.
And
So
then his breakdown.
Yeah, at the
later on.
end is just, it's so heartbreaking.
It's like you just want to hug him.
Yep. So Tom Hardy, I love the ways that filmmakers make people look bigger. So like, so Tom Hardy's only 5'9", so he was shorter than Christian Bale by a significant amount. I think Christian Bale is a pretty tall guy.
He's 6 foot.
Oh, is he only that much taller? Because yeah, so Tom Hardy's 5'9", which is, you know, relatively shorter for a male.
Still.
And he wore 3-inch lifts in his shoes to make him seem taller. And there was a lot of shots where they're aiming up at him, which makes him look even bigger. So there's a lot of shots. There's not a lot of shots where it's aiming directly at him from like where you can see his entire body. It's a lot of, you know, waist up, or it's like going up, like especially when Gordon gets dragged down to his lair, and it's mostly from the perspective of Gordon as he's walking towards the camera and he's talking to the henchman there. I love that, you know, the camera tricks that they do to make, you know, people who might not be as big as they are portrayed on film look way bigger.
Very good cinematography.
Yeah. So a lot of people make fun of the voice of Bane. I think it fits perfectly with this character. The only gripe I have with the whole thing is the way it sounds. It's like, it did not sound genuine. It did not sound like Tom Hardy was actually talking. It all sounded ADR. And it always sounded the same volume. And it was very like jarring in some spots where you're just like, why is he so loud? Like, I understand they had to. So initially when they screened the film, a lot of people couldn't understand what he was saying because he was very muffled. So Christopher Nolan went back in and was just like, just turn him up. Just literally just turn up the volume on that audio. And that's why it sounds like that. It's just very jarring to me. I love his voice, but it's just like, it just doesn't seem like it's generally coming out of his device. And there's parts where it's like, does he have a speaker in there so he can speak to an entire crowd of people?
Yeah. But then you've got on the opposite end, you have Batman. And when they're talking to each other, I'm like, Batman?
Gravel in his mouth.
What'd you say? Can you speak up?
We're in the middle of a fight, Batman. Speak up, motherfucker.
Yeah, like
he literally took a handful of gravel and just shoved it in his mouth and then tried to talk.
I think the scene where it's most obvious.
It was his teeth. It wasn't gravel. It was his teeth.
Well, it was somebody's teeth.
The
scene that you noticed the Bane the most, being ADR, was where right before the football game, where the kids singing the national anthem.
He's got a lovely voice.
What a lovely voice.
That's it. And that was improvised.
Very ADR. I was like, that's because it's so much louder than everything else. I don't give a fuck. I can understand, like, from a technical standpoint, it's not right. I don't give a shit personally.
Right.
I think it's amazing.
That line was improvised, by the way.
I had heard that.
Yeah. And also, they're not when you're in the NFL or whatever sporting event, you're not having this little creepy kid do the national anthem. That was the creepiest national anthem I've ever heard in my life. They're not doing that. It's terrifying.
I will say this.
Yeah. It's waiting for like an Omen situation. Damien, this is for you, Damien.
Starts pushing people down the steps and shit. I will say this. I know it was ad-libbed, the line that he delivered there, but even though like he's supposed to be like the bad guy, because Saris was watching us, I had to explain this to her, but it just seemed like it humanized him. Like he had a goal, but he's not like a horror. Like I don't know. To me, it did a little bit, and he's like he cares about things. He's just not just a bad guy, but he has a mission that he is there to do.
Right. I mean, yeah, he does care for things because he cares for, one of the characters in the movie very much. Like he's in love with this person. Like he's doing what she is telling him to do, because the whole mission was to, finish what Ra's al Ghul had started. But it was all because this other person was conveying him to do it, because he was ultimately kicked out of the League of Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're jumping all over the place, everybody. I understand. I'm sorry. We're going to get to it too, but whatever.
We're talking about this.
Yeah. This we get cameos from characters from prior films, especially one of our favorites. One villain that has been in every single movie in this trilogy. He comes back. We'll talk about the scene he's in later on, which was great. I love the position they put him in. So good.
Yeah.
We
twice actually. Twice in the movie. Because he does it to one of Bane's men first, and then
and then he comes back for Gordon. Yeah. We get the suit looks a little different for Batman. Like it's slightly, it looks like it's slightly modified compared to the Dark Knight suit, especially from the cape. We have a new iteration of Selina Kyle, which I actually really like this Selina Kyle.
I did too.
I think, to be honest, I think every Selina Kyle we've gotten on film has been really good. It's hard to kind of be like, this one's not very, like Michelle Pfeiffer killed it. I think Anne Hathaway killed it, and Zoe Kravitz killed it in the Batman.
They all put their own little
It's all they're different versions of the character.
They put their own little spin on it. It's nice.
And just the fact that we got a redemption for Bane after that abysmal Batman and Robin Bane, it's great. And the way that they completely they modified this character to be, that made sense to this universe, because of the way that this is a very grounded Batman, where these villains could exist in real life to a degree.
But it's true, but realistically, the only thing they really changed about him, outside of specifically where he was in prison and a little bit of his origin, was that he
the Venom. Right.
Yeah, other than that, he's literally just like he is in the comics. He's a very smart, very strong man. That's how he's always been.
Now I feel stupid.
Why?
The guy that plays Stryver.
What about him?
He was in Pacific Rim.
Yeah, I know who he is. He's one of the scientists in Pacific Rim.
I was like, I know where I've seen him before.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Who played who?
Stryver.
Who's Stryver?
He's the first dude that it's the first guy that goes up in front of Jonathan Crane. Exile or death? Exile. All right.
What a great.
Yeah, he ends up playing one of the doctors.
We also get it a small there's a nod at Deadshot in this movie. Bane's little side kick there, the one who usually uses the sniper. That guy. So that was kind of a it wasn't straight up this is Deadshot, but that is a nod to Deadshot, because this dude is deadly with the sniper in this movie and the things that he does. Yeah,
I never put those together, but that's fair. I can see where you're getting at now.
I think he is credited as
that one guy.
I love the guy that's credited as Yuppie.
Yuppie is best credit ever. Rich Twit, that's another good credit. There you go.
There was actually at one point before the script or before the film was started, there was talks about putting the Penguin in this movie, and Philip Seymour Hoffman was up for it, but unfortunately, they decided to go against it. And then I'm trying to think, he died of a few years after.
Yeah, it wasn't too long after this movie he passed away. I think he would have done a good job.
Oh yeah, he was a wonderful actor.
Dude, all he has to do is talk about the suck zone, dude, and I'm in.
The suck. Oh, God. I love that movie so much.
I do too, dude.
Check out our podcast episode where me and my brother talk about Twister.
Yeah, dude. Fuck the haters. That movie's great.
A couple things before when Blake, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He talks
Yes.
about giant alligators in the sewer. This is kind of a
Yes.
unintentional nod to Killer Croc.
Yes, it is.
Who
I made
in
mention.
in the comics, Bane had to wrestle to become head of the Gotham's gangland, which I thought was pretty cool.
Beats his ass.
Oh, imagine a Killer Croc. Just kind of, he doesn't even have to be like in this movie, you know, long term. Just like he's down the sewer, and like Killer Croc is like, he works for Bane. He like patrols like out. Yeah, so that'd be badass. But it wouldn't make any sense to this movie.
No, and he'll just and then we'll get an Arkham reference. He'll just pop up like, "I've got your scent, Batman."
Yeah, and you shoot him, and he just like one of the worst fights in that game. I fucking hate the Killer Croc section of that game. It's so dumb. Oh man.
It's like, dude, he's fast, and then he just goes away. Nothing's there.
So Anne Hathaway, when she auditioned for this movie, she thought she was going to be auditioning for the role of Harley Quinn, because the fact that the Joker was in the prior movie, that was what she was going for. Well, then she found out she was auditioning for Catwoman, and she was very excited about it. And when she got a phone call from her agent, she thought that it was to tell her whether she got the role or not. And she immediately like got really excited and screamed like, "I'm Catwoman." And they're like, "Sorry, this isn't what this is about. This is about if you would like to host the Academy Awards."
No.
So wasn't she kind of burned? Like she was kind of like numb to it because she got her hopes up for Catwoman and just like
And then I guess it was like not soon after she got the call saying she was going to be Catwoman. Just imagine that.
Oh,
like,
fuck the Academy Awards.
No, seriously, fuck the Academy Awards.
Yeah, it's like, I wanted to be Catwoman. I would have been more, honestly, if I was in her shoes, I would have been more excited to be Catwoman too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, my final thought before we get into the plot of this movie is this is possibly one of the greatest trilogies ever to be put on film.
I concur.
Yeah.
People can say what they want about this movie, because when it comes to problem, like anyone who has a problem with this trilogy, it's usually about The Dark Knight Rises. It's a movie that literally comes after probably one of the greatest films ever made. So it's really hard to compete with that. You're like I said before, it's just trying to complete a good trilogy. And I think they did a damn good job doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Just think of this, guys. At least this movie did not have Batman fighting bad guys with Ewoks running throughout the streets of Gotham. So just remember that. That happened in another popular trilogy.
Oh.
Because I was going to say, we were talking about trilogies that just don't really deliver as well on the third. And admittedly, Return of the Jedi is a good movie, but Empire Strikes Back is a phenomenal fucking movie.
People will talk about how Empire Strikes Back is like the best, like it's the greatest Star Wars movie ever made, and it's the second film of a trilogy.
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately, Attack of the Clones was not one of those things. That was the worst of a trilogy.
Oh,
Spider-Man 2. People consider Spider-Man 2 the best of the trilogy, and then Spider-Man 3 came out, and that movie was trash.
Well, it's not the same thing, but you go with Aliens and Alien 3 or Terminator 2 and the Terminator 3. Same thing. It's not trilogies, but the second entry being.
Yeah. People just need to chill out. This is a goddamn good movie.
Yeah, it's right. Fuck them people.
Yeah. Wait, I gotta fix this here. I gotta put it on display so everyone can see it. There it is. My collector's edition Dark Knight Rises Blu-ray. All right. Are we ready to talk about the plot?
Hell yeah, we are.
All right. Here we go. So this movie opens as all Batman movies open. They open with like a really cool like scene where it's like something forms into the bat symbol. And this is ice, where the ice cracks, and it cracks into the bat symbol. We didn't talk about the Dark Knight one. That was fire, where the symbol comes out of like flames. Oh wait, before we get into the plot, we got to talk about some of the like the normal stuff like box office and all that. So the Dark Knight Rises was released June 16th, 2012 in New York City, and the rest of the United States and the UK was released July 20th. 2012. It ran at
that's the day for my birth.
2 hours and 45 minutes. People were talking about, the Batman being long. This was a long movie, but you know what? This was another one where it was almost 3 hours long and it didn't feel it.
No,
it's just so good that it just keeps you so, you're so focused on it that you just ignore everything else.
Yeah, I couldn't take notes.
Yeah, she stopped. She's like, nah. Nope. Hey, listen, my daughter does not normally watch movies like this, but she literally sat down through from right before the football scene all the way through, and she kind of like cuddled up next to me and was like, Sissy, it's okay. There has to be a bad guy. He's a great one, but he has to be a bad guy.
She just doesn't like to see people get hurt.
Or people be scary. So, but it's fucking Bane. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
The budget on this film was $230 million, and it made $1.081 billion, beating out The Dark Knight.
Hell yeah.
Not by much, but it was another $1 billion movie. Yeah. And it was third highest grossing film of 2012, because unfortunately this had to go up against The Avengers. And I don't know what the second film was that year to do it. And it's the seventh. At the time, it was the seventh highest grossing film of all time.
Well, admittedly, the people were watching that for sure, but The Avengers actually came out over 2.5 months prior to this film being released.
It's true, but it's The Avengers.
Because The Avengers came out May 3rd, because I started working at the theater May 5th. I literally started working the opening weekend of Avengers.
Again, this movie was directed by Christopher Nolan, written by David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan. I got to sneeze.
Apple juice.
Yeah, apple juice.
Starring Christian Bale again as Batman. Tom Hardy hopping in, playing our new big bad as Bane. Morgan Freeman back being just so great, as always, as Lucius Fox. Marion Cotillard is here. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Gary Oldman back as Commissioner Gordon. I can say that now since he is commissioner in this movie. Michael Caine is back as Alfred, and we have Anne Hathaway being our new Selena Kyle. All right, now we're back to the plot. I gotta make sure I get through all that before I go, because that's how this show runs.
We don't have them way we do things. We just do them.
We just do them. So the movie opens with a speech about Harvey Dent. It's literally the scene that they kind of show at the end of The Dark Knight, where they're speaking at a service, or at least Gordon is speaking at a service about Harvey, about how great he was and all the great things that he did and all that. And then it cuts to our big IMAX opening, as did The Dark Knight, with the bank heist scene. We get this plane, I just call it the plane scene, where we get I think he's FBI. I think so. Bringing in this doctor, Dr. Pavel, who they've been looking for a while. And I believe this guy's in Game of Thrones. Can you verify that for me? What? The guy who plays the FBI agent?
Oh, the FBI agent. Ooh.
Yeah, the lead guy. The one who does all the talking.
This guy right here.
Swear he's in Game of Thrones.
Aidan Gillen.
He
is in Game of Thrones.
All right, I thought so.
Yes,
Littlefinger.
Yeah, okay. I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I was like, I know he's in Game of Thrones. And he's in another show I watch on Paramount Plus.
I don't like him either.
Oh, he looks like a piece of shit. He always plays a piece of shit in movies and shows.
He's got that vibe about him, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, 100%. So as he's getting the doctor, they're like, hey, take these other two prisoners. He's like, well, we didn't sign up for that. And they're like, well, they have information on the man in the mask, Bane. And you're like, what?
Get him on the plane.
Yeah, so they get him on the plane, and he does his big tough guy motif where he goes and he's like, all right, you guys are going to tell me about Bane. And he opens up the plane door, which how these guys aren't getting sucked out of this thing, I'm very confused. I guess they're not high enough up for it to matter. This kind of scene kind of makes no sense if you think about it, the way that it all works. But it's a really cool scene, so I just kind of ignore it.
Well, Bane kind of calls him out on it, and he's like, what do you know about Bane? And then fires, because they're all got bags in their head, fires and throws one of the dudes aside, look like they threw him out of the plane. And Bane's like, he talks about how it doesn't make sense why you'd shoot a man before you throw him out of a plane.
Right.
So somebody's going to talk today.
Yeah. And that's when he takes off the hood, and it's Bane. He's like, I was nobody until I put on the mask.
What would happen if I take that mask off? It would be very painful. You're a big guy. You can take it for you. Fucking
It's so
love it, dude.
So what happens is another plane goes over this plane.
Oh,
And
yes,
the guys
dude.
rappel down, which doesn't make sense because they rappel straight down. There's no resistance. They're not like.
This is the most ridiculous Christopher Nolan shit ever, but it's fantastic.
He's like, listen, 2 years ago, I made a movie where buildings were folding onto themselves in Inception. So fuck all you.
Let the guy make his movie.
Yeah. Whoa, sorry, Chris. You did make $1 billion movie for us. And so they rappel, they shoot the plane, and then they attach like devices to it so that the plane gets like flipped upside down. I love this look. It's all practical, by the way. There's no CG in this shot at all. I've seen the behind the scenes of this. It's fantastic. So the wings get ripped off, the top gets blown out. The douchebag FBI agent gets knocked the fuck out by Bane. And what they need to do is they need to stage this plane crash so that it's like I think it's Pavel, right?
Yeah.
And they need to stage it to look like he died in the plane crash. So they do a blood infusion where they take some of his blood and put it into a dead body, which is just weird as hell.
Oh, it's so good, dude. It's like, that's
And
fucking
then-
wild.
Yeah. And
Mid-flight.
then I love the part though where one of the crew guys is like about to put his parachute. I was like, not you, brother. Somebody needs to go down with the plane.
Yes.
Has the fire started? It's rising. And
then just like,
God
goes
damn,
up.
so good.
Fucking movie, dude.
Oh man. So it has been 8 years since the end events of The Dark Knight. There is kind of it's Harvey Dent Day where they all get together. They have like fundraisers and stuff for him and, say nice things about him. And the mayor's talking at first, and it's happening at the newly built Wayne Manor, or I mean, who knows when this was actually built, but the new Wayne Manor, newer. And the mayor's talking about Harvey and about how Batman's a piece of garbage. And then,
fuck Batman.
Yeah. And then Gordon comes up and he's got a whole speech written up about the truth, but he can't tell it.
Yeah,
And
he folds it up and puts it in his jacket.
Yeah. I love the shot though of the roof where you see just the silhouette of Bruce up on the roof. They pan up there. You have this shitty politician, which, this guy always plays a piece of garbage. Fun fact, he would play Thomas Wayne in Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix movie.
Was this Ben Mendelsohn or whatever?
No, Brett Cullen. He played the politician that Selena kind of takes over.
God, yes.
Yeah. He would literally play Thomas Wayne in Joker, where he plays a kind of a very similar version to this character as Thomas Wayne is a piece of shit in that movie. So
okay, fair.
Oh, he's from the Blacklist.
Yeah. So they talk about how they're going to. We also meet Matthew Modine's character Foley, who is another piece of garbage character, just a whiny little bitch. Matthew Modine, if you don't know who he is, he was in Stranger Things. He played Papa, and
I know him.
And he was in Full Metal Jacket back in the late 80s. Yes, he was. Oh, I think his name was literally Joker. Like that was his nickname. He wore the glasses. He was
yes,
yeah, along with Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yep, played
one of the best one of the best first parts of a movie of all time. Full Metal Jacket. Stanley Kubrick.
I cannot believe
legend.
I cannot believe I blanked his name.
Oh, Arlie.
No, Vincent D'Onofrio's character.
Oh, well, they called him Gomer Pyle. But I can't remember what his actual name was. But but
that's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on. Yeah, it's a great opening. I agree. It's fantastic.
So he's a piece of crap. They talk about how the mayor is going to be dumping Gordon as the commissioner at some point because of the peace. It's peace times. You can't have a soldier during peace times.
Yep.
A woman is tasked with bringing some food up to a creepy ass room by Alfred. I love how he gets really defensive. He's like, which one of you have been using the like south staircase? Don't do that. And then he's like,
Yeah.
go bring this food to this room. And she's like, okay, I'll do it.
You go in there, you open it, leave, put the food on the table, and then leave, or
And
something
then walk
like
out.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she starts like peeking around until an arrow gets shot and turns around. It's Bruce. And he's very, very disheveled. He's got this really scraggly beard. Looks weak. He's got a cane. And but he's a smart guy. He looks at her and sees the pearl necklace around her neck. He's like, oh, that kind of looks like, my mother's pearls. I can't allow you to leave with those. And then she like literally just knocks his cane over and he falls. And then she does a really cool thing, flip out the window.
Yep.
She's like, you wouldn't hit a girl, would you? And then she's like, well, I wouldn't hit a cripple. And then she knocks the cane out. She's like, what?
Yeah. Well, at first Bruce is like, the people who make this safe told me that it's uncrackable. And she's like, well, nobody told me it was uncrackable. I love her facial expression though, where she goes from like looking really scared to like that, all right, you got me type deal.
Yeah.
Which I thought she did fucking great.
Couple times she does that in this movie.
Yep. And we get Miranda Tate. She's looking for Bruce, but with no luck. And then you get Daggett, who's played by Ben Mendelsohn, who always plays a bad guy. Always. He was the bad guy in Rogue One. He was the bad guy in Ready Player One.
Yep.
He's probably been a bad guy in other stuff he's been in. He's a great actor, by the way, but he's actually, no, he doesn't play a bad guy in Captain Marvel. He plays a Skrull.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
So there you go. He can play a good guy.
Oh, he was the sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood.
Oh boy, are you talking about the one with Jamie Foxx in it? Jesus. Oh my goodness. How many times do we got to make movies about Robin Hood? Can we stop?
No, gosh. Somebody's got to make a good one.
No, we could just stop.
They did. It was Men in Tights. All right. We had that Robin Hood.
No, it was the Disney one. Okay.
No, yeah, that was a good one too. Yes. Very true. Very true, sir.
Manly men.
So we then, after all this, so Selena escapes and she takes off like things so that she looks like she's just wearing a black dress, and then she hops into the congressman's car that she sees earlier, and she's like, "Can I have a ride?" And then they leave.
I thought that was kind of neat where she ditches all her little like that white pieces on her uniform and just blends in.
Yep.
Creepy about it.
Of course he's creepy about it. He's a senator or whatever having an affair. Congressman. Fuck ever.
So we meet Blake, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and I feel this is a very, especially when you find out his other name later on, that is a play on Drake, like Tim Drake.
Yeah.
Because you find out what his actual, very sneaky of you, Christopher Nolan. Christian Bale wanted nothing to do with this movie if they added Robin. So Christopher Nolan was just like, okay, we'll just make hints at like somebody who could eventually replace Batman. So here's somebody who is as close to Robin as we're going to get to Robin in this universe, which is like, okay, I'm okay with this. So Blake goes to visit Gordon about the missing congressman because his wife called and he hasn't been home. And they talk about, Batman. They talk about Harvey Dent. And then it cuts to Bruce kind of checking out the safe and everything. And Alfred's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, she was a sneaky, she's good at what she does. She wasn't there to just steal the pearls. She was there to steal Bruce Wayne's fingerprints.
Yep.
Because she made a deal with somebody to pretty much sell them for this thing that would literally wipe her slate clean, because she is just so, deep into crime that no matter what she did, she was always going to have that record. So.
Yep.
So Alfred wants Bruce to figure his shit out. And by figuring his shit out isn't go back to being Batman. It's go have a life. Rachel's dead. There's nothing you can do about it. Go have a life. Go, be Bruce Wayne. Go do something else. You've left Batman behind. Leave him there.
Yeah, don't lock yourself up.
Yeah.
Shit ain't gonna change.
Yeah, I just love how Alfred is just so onto him. Like, he's just like, dude, come on. You need to you need to spread your wings and get the fuck out of here. Because it's
Mhm.
just, you're turning into a hermit, which
Yep.
everybody in the city, like, that's what they see of Bruce Wayne now. He's a hermit. We haven't seen him in years. Like, just, like, go somewhere.
He wants him to find someone.
Exactly. He's like, I did. And he's like, yeah, but she died. Like, move on. She's been dead for 8 years. You
He
got to
says something
figure your
about-
shit out, man.
Yeah, he says something about setting him up with. Oh, I laughed
With the
at
cab,
it.
the burglar at the time.
Yeah.
He said he sets you up with somebody else if it would get him out of the house or
Yeah.
something. I can't remember what he
Yeah.
says.
I forget what he says.
So Blake the next day gets called in on a dead body out by the end of the sewer line, and it turns out to be a kid that goes to the orphanage that Blake's from.
Mhm.
And so he goes there, talks to the father, who is the head of this orphanage, and he goes and talks to the brother. And somehow this kid knows that Batman exists, even though he probably wasn't alive when Batman was around last. But he's like, "Do you think he's coming back?" And he's like, "I don't know. We'll see." Because the kid's like drawing little bat symbols with chalk on the bench that he's sitting at. So we then cut to a scene where Selina is making a deal with this guy who is in Pacific Rim, by the way. Speak of the devil.
Yep.
He was one of the crazy. No, not Daggett. The
No,
other
it's the
guy.
other guy.
Daggett, but
The guy who
other
works
guy.
with Daggett.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the scientists.
Yeah. But he said an American
It's a
accent. in this
Stryver.
movie.
Stripe.
Burn Gorman.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and he's
Yep.
in
Stripe.
he's in the
That's
new
what we
Halo
were
show
talking about
too.
earlier.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Nice.
So she's making a deal with this guy for Bruce's prints. I like how she gives him the 4 fingers, and she's like, "Well, maybe you forgot how to count." And she brings in the congressman with her to kind of be like, "Listen, don't do anything stupid. That the entire city's looking for him." The crazy thing is like, when all this goes down, where the cops break in and she like beats the shit out of that dude, how was that guy not arrested?
No idea.
They just
Good question.
yeah, it was a weird situation. So yeah, everything goes sideways. The place gets shot up. The congressman gets shot in the leg. I like how I love when she's like screaming because she's scared, but then she like
Yes.
turns it off real quick, walks up to him, is like, "Just put some pressure on that, sweetheart," then walks out.
Yep.
Call me.
Yeah.
Like, that ain't happening.
Yeah. And Gordon's there, and he gives chase because everybody goes down into this manhole. Why is the commissioner going down there? Why? Just
can't let
I
go,
guess
man.
that's how Gordon is. He's just a very, gung ho type of person. So he goes down there, and I mean, even Blake is like, "Did the commissioner go down there? Why did he go down there?"
Yeah.
That's a dumb thing to do. And then that Foley guy swears just there to hope to God that freaking Gordon dies so that he can take over as commissioner.
Pretty much.
Because he sucks.
So
And
he's
he's always
go
got-
down there.
Yeah, he's always giving shit to Blake too. He always calls him a hothead.
Yeah, Blake's like, we gotta go down there and get him. He's like, we're going nowhere without blah blah blah. And I'm like, dude,
It's just like,
Yeah.
can somebody push him down this hole?
please.
And
It's just-
Gordon gets ambushed by a couple guys, and then he's dragged. And this is when we come to face with a very shirtless Bane, who is just ripped. Ripped. He's got scars along his back.
Yeah, up his spine and shit.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, he got fucked up.
Yeah, he did.
And the whole time, instead of talking to Gordon, he's talking to this one dude. He's talking to this one henchman. He's like,
Yeah.
"Why would you bring him here?" He's like, "It's the commissioner." He's like, "Okay.
Yeah.
Why would you bring him down here? Like, this is just like stupid." And as like he's having that conversation, Gordon flips off and goes into where the water's flowing, and they shoot at him a couple times. He gets shot in the leg.
Well, Bane tells the guy to search him. He says, "Search him, then I'm gonna kill you."
He kills the other dude. He's
Yeah.
like, search him, and then I'm gonna kill
Imagine that.
you.
Yeah.
Imagine that order is like, "Search him, and then I kill you," and you're like, I
Yeah.
don't want to die. Like, I gotta, I'm gonna search this
Because he
guy really
finds
slow.
He finds his
The speech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which will come into play later on. So yeah, Gordon escapes. He gets shot, and then they're like, "We'll go after him," and he's like, "But he's already probably this far," and he's like, and he shoots him, and he's like, "Well, there you go."
He's like, he's like no, he says there's like hundreds of those culverts or drain ditches. He could be
Yeah.
anywhere. He's like, well, then follow him.
Yeah,
He
and
gives him a
shoots him.
phone and then
Yep.
shoots them and want to track him and bye.
Yeah. Bane is just so like he doesn't take excuses. He doesn't take any
Nope.
shit from anybody. Like,
Mm.
don't be an idiot.
Yeah,
Go
he
get
knows what
him.
he's after.
Yeah.
Everybody's expendable. Everybody.
So
Except for
Blake,
himself.
yeah,
Yeah.
He just uses everybody else. He knows what he's after. He knows how to get people to follow him.
yep. Blake visits Wayne at Wayne Manor. He pretty much Blake just figures out that Batman, like Bruce Wayne is Batman, like which was kind of it was like okay, that's just gonna be how it is, and he pretty much talks to him about like how he was an orphan and the Wayne Foundation used to give up a lot of money to this orphanage, and then the money just stopped.
Yep.
And that was what Bruce was more concerned about, other than the fact that Blake figured out that Bruce is Batman.
Yeah.
He's like, why did the
He's
money
like-
stop? He's like, I don't know. Maybe you should go outside and, figure shit out.
Right.
And that's kind of what puts a kick in the ass for Bruce to kind of get out and figure what the hell is going on the outside.
Yeah, because
And-
he asks Alfred, why did the money stop? He's like, well, it was funded by profits from Wayne Enterprises.
You got to have profits.
Yeah, you gotta have profit.
Yeah.
I mean,
So he takes one of his, I like how he asks, like, do we have any cars left around here? He's like, yeah, we have a couple. And of course, one of them's a Lamborghini.
Of course.
And he drives to get checked out. And the guy, the doctor is played by Thomas Lennon, who's
Yes.
hilarious. He's in Reno 911 and he's been in a bunch of comedies.
gosh.
Just to see him in this was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it has like a 5-second part, but it was great to see
Yeah.
him. He pretty much tells him all of his ailments. He's like, you literally have no cartilage in your knee. You don't have this. You don't have that. You like your brain has a lot of scar tissue on it. Your lungs have a lot of scar tissue. It's like, yeah, I would advise to not do some that heli-skiing.
Yeah, right.
Okay, thank you.
It's like, okay.
And pretty much the main reason he goes to the hospital is so that he can visit Gordon, because he asks
Yes.
Alfred, he's like,
Yeah.
set me up an appointment at the hospital. He's like, which one? Wherever Gordon's staying. So he goes to visit Gordon. I like how he's in his suit. The only thing he does is put a ski mask on, and he's taught
Yeah.
like, and Gordon knows it's Batman because he talks like, he does the voice and all that. And,
Yeah.
Gordon is pretty much telling him like, Gotham needs Batman again. Like, from what I've seen, from what I saw, Batman needs to come back. And he's like, but what if he can't? What if that can't happen? He's like, it has to, or we're screwed.
Yeah.
So Bruce goes to a ball. It's a masquerade ball. I like my son
Yep.
that he was like, why is everyone wearing a mask? Like, because it's a masquerade ball. And this is very similar to the masquerade ball scene in Batman Returns. Like, I feel this was
Yes.
kind of a little tip of the hat to that scene, because that's how Bruce and Selina kind of meet up without
Yep.
being in it's that moment. I mean, in that film, it was the moment they figured out who each other was. But this was just kind of a reunion for Bruce and Selina. It's like, hey, I'm gonna need to take those pearls back.
Yeah.
And then she, he's just asking, like, what did you need with my prince, and what did you like, just asking her a bunch of questions, about the clean slate, and if you've done the things I've done, you can't erase it. This is just how life is. And then at the end, she steals the keys to his car and oh, well, your wife said that she would meet you home. My wife.
You would be taking
Yeah.
You'd be taking a taxi home.
I like the guy though that he stole the dance from. He's like, you scared her away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, what the?
Oh,
Oh,
Not
and-
quite.
But before the Selina Bruce dance scene, Miranda Tate finally runs into Bruce and they get talking.
Oh, yeah.
He's just like, yeah, well, I don't like these places because it's just rich people, spending other people's money
Yes.
on, stuff that's not going to go to anything. Well, and then she's like, well, I organized this and I paid for it all myself, and it's all going to go to this organization. He's like, oh, all right, well, my bad.
yeah, right. Because they talk about a little bit about what he was doing before he kind of stopped, about the clean energy thing a little bit.
Yeah.
They talk about it very vaguely.
Yep. Yeah. It pretty much, Selena also talks about the whole thing about like the fire is rising. You know, you don't want to be around when things get to a certain point.
Yep.
And I love when Alfred picks him up. Just like, it's okay.
Just yourself, sir?
Yeah, it's okay. You'll get back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
Bruce.
Victor's like, did she steal his car? And I'm like, yeah.
She's a master thief.
Yes, she is.
Bruce the next day meets with Lucius Fox and pretty much is like, hey, what's going on? He's like, we're almost out of money, Bruce. Because you wanted to take all your money and focus it on this one thing, and then we stopped doing it, and now we don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, oh, all right. Fox is like, hey, you want to see the new toys that we got downstairs? You want to see everything's going on? He's like, sure. I want to know how they hide all this, because he said that he hides it and it's not on the books. But yeah, it's this literal, like, it's the size of the building. Like, it's an entire floor of all. It's like an armory.
Yep.
And he shows him the bat, or in this universe's version of the Batwing.
Yep.
What did you guys think of the design of this?
I always thought it was very interesting, very unique.
It's definitely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they based it off existing military technology, though, which is great. Like everything else in this franchise. Right.
I feel it was, in vein of everything else, all the other vehicles that Batman uses in this trilogy, where it's not, it's not a vehicle that's got these giant, the Batmobiles in the prior films, they were just kind of like, they were part of that universe. They made sense to that universe, but they were impractical. Mm-hmm. Where some of these the vehicles in this kind of make a little bit more sense, except for the Batpod.
Yep.
The Batpod always doesn't make sense to me. How do the tires flip like that?
It looks so weird. Like, when the
tires are
I don't know. Okay, how tall is Anne Hathaway?
I don't know, but she wears like 6-inch heels the whole movie.
Oh,
5'8".
Okay.
She's a taller woman.
So she's 5'8", but do you see her when she gets on that Batpod? She's practically laying on it.
Oh, I know.
Because
she has to make a very sensual movement when she gets on that thing, and I was like,
but she has to stretch so far to reach the handles, and not the pedals, but where you sit your feet.
Yeah, it'd be very awkward to drive.
Yeah,
that bike in general is impractical for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the size of those tires, they don't make sense.
No,
take a lot of power to move those.
Yeah. Oh man. But so after this, we go back to the Batcave and Bruce puts on a brace that makes his leg like Superman, like he can literally kick through a brick wall. You're like, wait a second.
Yeah, and he's like kicking the wall, and Alfred's like, "Are you gonna fix that?"
Yeah. Hey, you want to try it, Alfred? It's like, nah, I'll just watch.
Yeah.
And then Alfred tells Bruce about Bane's origin. He was trained by Ra's al Ghul, and he was excommunicated because, he didn't fit the ideals of Ra's. And Alfred pretty much is like, dude, you see how fast this dude is? You see what he can do? Like, he's scary. Like, don't become Batman again. This isn't the way of, like, you got to find some other way to help.
Yeah, you've been out of the game for 8 years. You can't just throw your suit on and expect you to be able to go full toe-to-toe with Bane.
No, he's fine. Muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we then go to the stock exchange where everything is going down. Bane and a group go there. I like how they're all disguised as stuff. Like one guy was a shoe shiner, the other guy was the janitor.
Yeah, he was a delivery driver. Bane was.
Yep. Yeah. And they go in and they pretty much, they're pretty much going to destroy the stock market. They're going to plummet the stock market. And I love where he goes in there. He's like, why are you doing this? Like, there's no money here. And then he goes, then why are you here?
Yeah.
And Bane looks to destroy the stock market. Bane escapes on the bikes because they can't, it's going to take too long to do the upload.
Mhm.
And so they're like, well, I guess we got to go mobile. I like how he says mobile. We got to
Yes.
go mobile.
I like how they use the. You're coming up to this, but the people as shields.
Yep.
The
he
actual
puts,
people
like,
within
the
the
people
stock.
on the front of the bikes.
Yeah.
And this is when Batman makes his return as the cops are chasing him. All the lights turn off, but once the bat pod is by them, the lights would turn back on again. And I love the one cop's like, "Oh, kid, you're in for a show tonight."
Yeah. You can
This
tell
dude-
he's an old hat, man.
Yeah, this cop is pumped that Batman's back.
Oh yeah.
And I like how Foley, this fucking guy, he's riding with Blake, and they should be focusing on the task at hand. The guys that are riding around with hostages on their bikes, but instead he hears that Batman has made an appearance, and it's like, fuck that, we're going after Batman.
I'm gonna one thing, Jim. Yeah.
I'm gonna do what Jim Gordon failed to do.
Yeah.
Catch the bat. But I love how Batman like pops up. He's got like an EMP gun that he shoots at the one thing, and then the cop shoots at it, and he just turns at him. He's like, "Put your gun down before you shoot something."
Yeah, you just see that one shoot. He's like, "Oh, sorry."
Just glares at him.
Yeah. And Batman looks so fucking good in all these shots. The way that they shot these scenes, it just made Batman look so awesome. Where it's dark, but the only light you're getting is from, the police cars or the police helicopters. Mm-hmm. The funniest thing, though, is like they stop at there's like a roadblock with all these cop cars, and none of the cops are doing anything. And he shoots his gun at the ramp, at the car transport.
Yeah.
Cops would be shooting.
Oh, yeah.
He shot a weapon towards the police. Cops are shooting back. Instead, he shoots the thing and then rides up the ramp onto
I'm like,
the
how convenient.
other ramp. Yeah, and it's like, he got away. How did he get away? He had a lot of horsepower, a lot of firepower. A lot of firepower. He's like, well, so do you.
Yeah.
They just didn't want to shoot Batman. And all the police like Batman.
Yep.
Especially the people that have been there for a little bit.
Exactly.
They know.
Yeah. They know.
Yeah.
We then cut to we don't cut to anything. We go to Batman going down an alleyway, and they all pull up to this alleyway, and Foley comes out. He's like, yeah, we got him trapped like a rat. And then he tries to use the bullhorn, and the lights turn on, and he's got the bat, and he flies away. And Blake just looks at him. He's like, I think you're thinking of a different animal, sir.
Yep. Oh, dude, it's so good.
All their jaws are just dropped. Like, what is this?
What is going on? Catwoman tries to get her clean slate. She's trying to steal from Daggett. She tries to go into the safe, but there's nothing there. And she pretty much finds out it doesn't exist. At least they don't have it.
Yeah.
It was all a ploy just to get Bruce's fingerprints because they knew they could get them from her.
Yep.
Batman comes to the rescue as she takes Daggett, jumps out a window, and then she gets surrounded by goons, and then she's about to start fighting, and then Batman shows up and just starts beating the crap out of him. And I like when she's about to shoot one, Batman takes the gun out of her hand. He's like, no guns, no killing. He's like, what's the fun in that?
Yeah, exactly.
I love her fight scene before that, where she's got him pinned to the wall with her heel.
Oh, her heels are cool.
And the guy comes up behind her and is like, those heels make it hard to walk. And she's like, I don't know, and kicks him with her heel.
Oh. She's very, very flexible.
Like, that's gotta hurt, because those are some.
Do you like how she cuts the line to the thing outside with her heel?
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
My wife went, why did she do that? I was like, because she has a blade on her heel. That's why she does it, because she has a blade on her heel.
Because she fucking could. That's why.
She's Catwoman. Just anything to make me keep watching. So, yeah, she talks to Batman about, hey, why did you sell Bruce Wayne's prints? And she tells him the whole story about the clean slate. And he turns around to do something, and he's about to say something, and she disappears, and he's like, oh, well, that's what that feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that
And-
was a reference to Kingdom Come
Yep.
comic book. And
Yeah.
I remember because I read that and I was like, oh, that's pretty funny.
Was that your exact reaction? Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I was like, oh, that's pretty funny.
Oh man, so this is when Bruce gets back and Alfred is just pretty much done with Bruce's shit. He's like, what are you trying to prove? Like what are you trying to do? You're just going to kill yourself. Is that where the end, is that how it ends? You just die? He's like, I can't watch this anymore. And Bruce is like thinking it's all a joke. Like, what are you talking about, man? Old man, like, let's just keep doing what we usually do. And he tells Alfred to give Fox something, and he's like, once I give Fox this, I'm done. He's like, what are you talking about? And he pretty much goes into the whole thing of like, I've been here since you were born. I heard your cries go through this manor. Like, I can't watch this anymore because you don't know when to stop. And he, that's when Bruce talks about Rachel. And he's like, what if she didn't choose you? What if she chose Den? He's like, don't do that. Don't use Rachel as a means for me to stop. He's like, well, I'm telling you the truth, but you can believe whatever you want. And that's when Bruce is kind of just like, well, then leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he said about the letter and then he burned it to spare him pain.
Yeah, because he said he's buried enough members of the Wayne family.
Yep. And yeah, this is where Alfred leaves, and he doesn't come back for quite a while.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The next day, Lucius comes over to the manor and pretty much tells Bruce that he's broke. That they used Bruce's prints to do some shady deals that didn't work, which then lost a shit ton of money, making Bruce, poor. Like he is broke. And Daggett is trying to take the company. Bruce, imagine if what's his name? What's the guy who was running Wayne Enterprises in Batman Begins? Earl?
Oh, I can't remember his name.
You think Earl's still alive at this moment? Like just rubbing his hand like, haha, son of a bitch. That's what you get. Yeah.
In some other country. Like
yeah. Bruce and Fox show Miranda Tate the reactor. So the whole plan is to show her the reactor and then have her take over Wayne Enterprises and so that she has control of this reactor.
Yeah, because he doesn't want her to turn it on though.
Yeah, he said
because
pretty much
it's not safe.
Yeah, either leave it off or flood it because they have like a flooding mechanism for if anything were to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he entrusts Tate with all of that. He tries to go to the board meeting and he gets kicked out because he pretty much has nothing to do. He has no money invested in the company anymore. So he's like, well, there's no point in you being here. And I like how Fox is just like, he's not wrong. You gotta go. And they go outside and Bruce, his Lamborghini's getting repossessed. Why is this guy like, did he not pay for these things, straight cash? He was one of the richest people probably in the country or the world. And he wasn't paying for things just straight cash. Maybe it's because he lost money for the company as kind of like a collateral thing where they have to take certain things from him.
Yeah, probably.
So Blake shows up and asks for a ride. He's like, you want me to give you a ride? And Miranda gets control of the company. Daggett is pissed. And he takes a lot of his anger out on Bane. And Bane's like, yeah, that's not happening. He's like, I gave you a small. I love how he just rests his hand on his shoulder. And he's like, I gave you a small fortune. He's like, oh, so you gave me money and you think you control me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he's like, do you feel in charge?
Yeah. And you could just see the straight fear in Daggett's face. And I love how the other guy goes outside and can hear everything that's going on because he kills him. Because they say the next day that they found him in a garbage in like a dumpster. Yeah. Bruce visits Selena at her apartment and tells her that his powerful friend has a clean slate. She's like, it doesn't exist. He's like, well, my powerful friend says that it does. Yep. So it's kind of like, meet him at this place at this time and they'll work it out. Bruce goes home and he's locked out of the manor. And I like that Miranda Tate's there. And she's like, do you have keys? He's like, I've never needed them.
Yeah. Do they like go into like a break into like one of the different doors? Like wings
yeah, they break into
manor?
like very easily too. He just kind of pushes it open a little bit. And then they do the deed, you know?
Because that's needed.
That was so
Somebody's
fast.
gotta.
There was no prior thing to show that like Bruce and Miranda had any like romantic like feelings for each other or anything, or if it was just part of her game. And yeah, they sleep together and they talk about running away together, and it's like, what is happening here? This is before you actually know anything. Like if this is your first time watching this movie, you're kind of like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And Bruce has to leave because he's got to meet up with Selena, and Selena is going to take him to Bane. And
take him all right.
I love these shots of him taking dudes out where a guy walks up to her and she's like, he's behind you, and he turns around and he's upside down.
Yeah.
It's kind of very throwback to Batman Begins. He just starts yoinking people from like dark hallways. And we get a cool tunnel scene. Not as cool as the Batman, but it's a very cool scene where it's all you see is him through the muzzle flashes.
Yeah.
And like, you know, dodging everything, and then he beats the crap out of them.
Yeah.
It was great. And they finally get to Bane's lair. He walks through the door and Selena shuts it behind him. And she said, I'm sorry, but this is what's got to happen. And he's like,
trying to kill me.
Yep. And Bruce is just very disappointed in her.
Yep.
And this,
like, you're making a terrible mistake.
Yep. And Bane knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman right off the bat.
Yep.
Because he literally calls him Mr. Wayne or Bruce the whole time they're in this fight. And it is such a great fight. And I love that there's no music for this whole fight. It is all just the noises that, I mean, mostly it's Batman grunting, because Bane doesn't make much noise when he's fighting.
No.
It's mostly just shit. It's just the impact. Yeah, him just saying the awesome lines that he says and just the impacts of him punching Batman. It is fantastic.
Don't look over at me.
This whole fight is great.
You know,
I love when
Pete is
repeat and repeat.
What?
Yeah.
Peace has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you.
Yep.
You think darkness is your ally. You merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it, molded by it.
Oh, this is great. I love when he jumps off the catwalk. Batman jumps off the catwalk and glides down, and Bane grabs onto the chain, just like hustling down that chain to get back there. And there's some times where Batman gets the upper hand, but it's mostly just Bane letting him. There's not one point in this fight where you think Batman has any control of this fight. Bane is just all
his ass.
He just fucks him up.
Punches him, and he doesn't move. Like, oh, this is gonna be bad.
Oh my god, it's just so good.
Especially my favorite shot of this whole thing is just where when he knocks him down toward the end and just starts pummeling the side of his head, and like
it just starts to crack in the mask.
Yeah.
I just love where he throws the thing that like shoots off a bunch of like it looks like explosives. Like, oh, the theatrics.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
very effective against the uninitiated, but we are initiated, aren't we, Mr. Wayne?
Yeah.
So good.
And then he turns off the lights and does the lines with about how, you know, Batman adopted the dark, where Bane was born and bred in the dark.
That's right.
So good. And he, you know, Bruce is just exhausted and beaten down, and that's when Bane, like, he literally throws him or this is where he picks him up, right? He does the whole thing. It's just like the comic where he picks him up and he said, I wonder what would break first. What is it? Your
spirits or your body.
Or your body. And cracks his back. He rolls and kind of like laying up there, and that's when he punches the mask a bunch of times, and they do such a close up of it too.
I know,
it just cracks.
Bam. I'm like, oh yeah.
And he rips off the mask and throws it out. And they drag Bruce away.
Oh God.
Oh
So fucking
man,
good.
it's so good.
Isn't this where he says, "Let me show you where we're going," or whatever, and he
He blows up the
blows up
floor
the
to the
floor?
armory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's laying on the ground looking up.
Yeah, and all the
Yeah.
the tumblers land and stuff like that.
It's like,
Yeah.
"No, my babies."
Get
Yeah,
to
'cause he's
play
trying
with
to keep
your armory.
Yeah. Cute.
trying to keep it
Great.
out of everybody's hands. That's why he made sure it was not on the book. So if somebody else got the company, they wouldn't have access to that.
Yep.
But Bane knows.
Bane knows
Bane
all.
is very smart. Very smart. Selena tries to escape. She tries to get a flight, but she's taken in by Blake. And Blake asks if Batman is dead. And she's like, I don't know. And she pretty much tells him everything. And Bruce is then sent to the pit where he is pretty much, Bane's whole thing. This is where Bane, grew up. This was the hole that he became who he is in. And Bane's whole thing is, I want you to watch Gotham burn to the ground. I want you to see Gotham and everybody in it die. I want to see that you did nothing to stop this. And then he said, once that's all over, you have my permission to die.
That's right. Because he doesn't want to just kill Batman. He wants to break Batman.
Yes, because he said dying for him would be easy. He wants to make it hard on him.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to just break his body. He wants to break his spirit, his mind,
His soul.
everything. He wants to destroy him utterly.
Yeah.
I want to see you suffer. But that is probably one of the best. I love that line. Once it's all over, you have my permission to die.
Yes, so good, dude.
That's so good. So good. Bane takes over Wayne Enterprises. He takes a couple of the board members hostage, brings them down to where the thing is down there. What the hell is it?
The reactor.
The reactor. And we got Gordon, who's still laid up in the hospital, trying to figure shit out as everything is kind of going down. Bruce, he also makes Blake a detective at this time, even though Foley is so against it because he keeps calling him a hothead. He's like, well, maybe we do need some more hotheads around here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, in your face, Foley, you suck.
Because he's got a good instinct.
Yep. And what was the line? It's like when you become a detective, you can't have there's no coincidence or something like that. What was
you can't believe in coincidence when you're a detective.
Yep. So we then go back to the pit where Bruce meets his cellmates. We have just this. We have these two wise old men. One of them who does most of the talking, and then you have the other one who speaks in a different language, and he's also blind. You later find out he's a doctor. He was like the prison doctor. Then it goes back to Gotham where the cops all scramble to the tunnels. There's no way, shape, or form you are sending every freaking cop in the city down into tunnels.
No.
For what reason?
No.
To try to find one person?
Gotta get
You're
the
not
Bane.
sending 3,000. They state later on there is 3,000 cops down in those tunnels. Why?
Yep.
Why?
They're really bound and determined.
Gotham PD is just so they're not run well.
Mm-mm.
Commissioner, what are you doing? Loeb was awful. What are you doing?
No, jeez.
So Bane forces Tate and Fox to turn the reactor on. They plan on turning it into a nuclear weapon as they bring Dr. Pavel out, and he's like, he gets it all situated. He turns it into the nuke, and then Bane's like, well, take it out. Take it out of the reactor. And he's like, then it becomes unstable. Then it breaks down. Then it's just going to blow. And he's like, well, that's the point.
Well, eventually, he says it'll eventually degrade and explode. And he says it's 5 months by my count.
Yep. Bane has all the information. He doesn't give a shit what anyone says. Like if anyone gives him information, he's like, I already know. You're not telling me anything new here. I know what's going on. When I tell you to do something, do it, or I will snap your neck like I've snapped 4 other dudes in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man. So Blake goes down to investigate this dude who is driving a cement truck. He's like, I saw you in front of the stock exchange. He's like, oh, me? What do you mean? He's like, oh, yeah, you're that cop. And then there was another guy behind him. They try to shoot him. Blake shoots the one and then ricochets the other bullet off of the cement truck into the back of the other guy and then tries to interrogate him, but he's dead.
Yep.
I was like, damn.
Shit.
The fact that he got a perfect shot off of that ricochet, damn. That's
He was not
precision.
fond of killing the guy, though. He was very, like, kind of threw his gun down.
So the tunnels are gonna explode with all the cops inside. And this is where we get the football scene. Where
Yeah, because you found it. They mix the concrete that's been going, the construction stuff that Daggett's been paying for.
With explosives.
With the concrete was mixed with explosives, yeah.
Yep. And this is the football scene where we get the little kid doing the national anthem, and Bane walks up and is like, oh, very pretty voice.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, something in that vein. And we get, I mean, this is I just love this scene just because as a Steelers fan, I'm like, hey, I know that place. I've been there.
Yeah.
And yeah, he blows up. I really like it though, where it's the football player running as the field is just falling apart behind him.
Yeah.
And then he makes it into the end zone.
late.
Yeah, he makes it into the end zone, turns around. It's like,
And touchdown,
during the national anthem, the blue team, I don't know what city they were from. I think they're from another city that takes place in the DC universe. I can't remember which one. But they were the kicker was, I believe, one of the guys who worked on the movie.
Oh, really?
He was like a production designer or something like that. And the Gotham team was made up of pretty much mostly Steelers players of that time.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah. And yeah, so they blow up the stadium. Bane comes out. He makes his speech. And he pretty much Pavel tells everybody who he is and what he does. And he's like, can anybody other than you turn off this bomb? And he's like, no, just me. And he's like, thank you. And kills him.
Yep.
So we also get, as the stadium blows up, all of the manholes blow up, like a bunch of different things blow up. The bridges all blow up. And this is where you get the New York City skyline. And I was like, okay, this throws me off. This was like the first moment where I was like, where are we? This isn't Gotham.
Yeah.
I don't think they know where they are.
I saw it too. I was like, oh, that's New York.
So the whole time this is going on, Blake goes to rescue Gordon at the hospital, but Gordon has everything under control. I love when Blake runs in and he puts the gun up to his neck. He's like, you got to check your corners, rookie.
Yeah, because still people go to kill him. Because he's like, all the city's cops were in the tunnels. He's like, not all of them. He goes to the hospital.
Yep.
And there's the only gun that really stood out to me in the whole movie. I told Angela they had the two guys going in to kill him had G36Cs. Yeah. To kill Gordon. He's got that old pump shotgun. Fucking Blake does. It's awesome.
It's great. So we then cut to the next day when Bane is officially in control of the city. And, all the cops are down in the tunnels and all that. And this is where we get the wall, the front of Blackgate prison scene where he drives up onto the stairs and makes the speech, where he reads off Gordon's speech about Harvey Dent. Yep. Oh man, it's just so good. He's like, you guys have worshipped men like this. And he reads the speech. He's like, Harvey Dent tried to kill my boy. And all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, so pretty much, everything that Dent did, is nullified. So we're going to let everyone out of Blackgate.
Yep.
And we'll give the city back to Gotham.
Yeah, let the people take their city back.
Yep.
Oh, they also mentioned earlier during the nuke scene that one of the citizens is the trigger man for the nuke.
Yes. Yep. And this is what gives Bruce the motivation to, finally get up and get himself moving. He's got one vertebrae that's out of alignment, and they push it back in. And, oh God!
Punches him in the back.
Yeah, I felt the pain.
He's like, you're gonna hang like this until you can walk.
Yep. This guy, the guy who's his like cellmate, the older guy, not the blind one, but the other one.
Yeah.
I really like his character because he like Bruce is constantly like working out and doing push-ups and all that stuff. He's like, what are you doing? It's not about being the strongest. It's about, being the smartest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like what you're doing is kind of pointless to this whole situation. He's like, I need to be ready for Bane. I need to be ready to face, whatever, comes in front of me. And he's like, all right, dude, whatever.
Yeah, because the other prisoner that doesn't speak English, he said, it's not physical, it's mental.
Yeah, because for those of you that hadn't seen it, the prison he's in is a wide open hole.
It's just
it's like a giant
talks
well.
Yeah, Bane talks about it. He's like, you can't have true despair without some kind of hope. Like, that's what it is. It's like you have this. You could try to climb out at any point you want to, but it's almost impossible to actually get out of the hole.
Yeah.
like from the lower shots, it looks like it's just a straight shot until you see these people make it so far, and you're like, oh, well, why does it look so
Yeah, because the rocks spiral up, and then there's a couple platforms where
it's that
there's
one
a gap.
jump. Yeah, it's that one jump.
Yeah, and then if you make it across that, there's more of the stones to climb the rest of the way out.
Because from below, it looks like it's just a straight shot out. And you just climb up.
I think that's what it's supposed to be. Like that's the hope thing too, because you can see sunlight. You could get out at any time, but you just have to be able to make the jump.
Yep. The old man tells the story of the mercenary who falls in love with like a warlord's daughter, knocks her up, and he gets sent to the prison, and then the wife takes his place and gives birth to the child in the pit.
Yeah, the mercenary is what led to the edge of the land and then sent into exile, but the wife and the child takes his place.
Yeah.
Takes his place.
And the whole time Bruce thinks Bane is the child because Bane is like, he thinks Bane is the only one who's ever made it out of the pit.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and the guys never tell him if that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they just reference the child. They don't ever say male or female or whatever.
Yeah, because he even says, he's like, this is Bane's prison. We shouldn't talk about this. We shouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah. And they talk about, they do talk about how Bane was severely like injured and the doctor fucked up his surgery.
Yeah,
and that's why he has to wear the apparatus to. It just subdues the pain. It doesn't fully take it away.
Yep. And that's why the doctor's locked up in there too.
Yeah. And my son goes, how does he eat? And I went, I have no idea.
You don't need to eat.
Red water.
He just gets a straw.
Just everything's pureed. Everything's pureed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Blake continues to try and help around the city. He's sending like messages down to the sewer or down to the tunnels for the cops. Bruce, we then cut back to the pit where Bruce is training and he attempts to make the jump and he fails.
Yeah.
You also see just a random prisoner try it earlier when Bruce is still kind of laid up. We then go back to Gotham where the special forces show up to help and they're useless.
Oh God, are they ever?
Blake and the special force guys, they go to meet Fox and Miranda, and Bane kills the special forces guy and takes the others for judgment. And who judges them but the one and only Jonathan Crane? So Jonathan Crane, aka the Scarecrow, is the man who makes judgment upon those who do wrong, I guess. And I love how he's like perched up on this stack of desks and tables and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you like his coat? It's got like, it looks like it's got straw coming out the shoulders.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Killian Murphy.
Yes.
Makes cameos. This man is a great actor who is a leading man. And this dude's coming in for 5 seconds to do these. Oh, so good.
How they did Killian Murphy in all of these movies is how I want a majority of the characters to appear in any subsequent film following the Batman. They don't need to be big roles, but I want the characters to appear because they're part of this universe.
Yeah.
Just let us know, remind us they're there. It's fine. Just do it. It makes it feel lively, makes it feel big, makes it feel like the character, like I said, it's not just big movie villain and you don't see anybody else, even though you know they're there.
Yeah. So the first person that they judge, I believe, or maybe this is later. No, it was later. No, maybe this is the first one he does. Is the guy who works with Daggett, right?
That was earlier. That's before they end up rounding up. They kill the special forces guy and they round up Gordon and everybody else.
Right.
And that's when he kills the special forces guys, when they round up Gordon.
Right. So at first you meet Jonathan Crane. He's judging the guy who works with Daggett, and it's exile or death. And of course the guy's like, oh, exile. So he gets sent out. They get sent out on ice on the river, the frozen river, and they pretty much have to try to make it across, and nobody does, as you watch him plummet to his death.
Because he tries to plead for him. He's like, I work for Bane. He's like, Bane has no power here. This is the court of the people of Gotham.
Yeah. And I like how Bane is in the audience, like not reacting to any of it.
No, he's just hanging out.
He's like messing around with something. It's great.
The guy tells him to follow the
thick ice.
The thick ice.
Yep.
And he doesn't. He just
Bruce fails another jump, and the blind prisoner finally speaks English and tells him to jump without the rope.
As the child did. As the child did.
Yep. And that's why he's like, Bane? Is Bane the child? I'm like, can somebody just tell this dude? He's going to keep asking. Oh, and he has visions of Ra's al Ghul, where Ra's tells him he's immortal. And he's like, but I watched you die. He's like, oh, there's different ways of being immortal.
Yep. Kind of a reference to that. It's kind of neat how they did it in this universe.
And this was the last role that was, a good movie starring Liam Neeson. Probably not, but so the chant, I love Bane's theme is this chant. Every time he shows up, it's like this chant that's playing, and it's the one that they chant in the prison, and it means rise. So I thought that was a really cool addition to this character, especially since this whole motif is rising from the ashes, rising to the occasion.
Well, the blind doctor mentions, and this is when he was talking about the kid that escaped, doing it without the rope. And he's like, the problem is you don't fear death. Because, the first movie, they kind of worked on stripping that away from him. He said, but fear is important for self-preservation.
Right.
And survival. And then that's kind of what they said. That's what he's lacking to get out.
So go up there. Go up there, without the rope, face your fear. And make the jump. And Bruce finally makes the jump. And he escapes with no rope.
And everybody gets excited, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So and Gordon, like, what was going to happen if you missed?
Right. Gordon gets the help from Miranda to try to track down the truck that's got the bomb in it.
Yeah.
And they get caught. And this is where you get your second. This is where Gordon gets judged by Crane. And he tries to plea his case. And I love the whole thing where he's like, Gordon's trying to plead his case, and Crane's like, all right, well, I guess that's death by exile.
By exile, yeah.
Yes. Because if you think we're gonna walk across that ice willingly, Crane, you have another thing coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Crane's big thing is your guilt has already been determined. This is just a sentencing.
Yeah.
Yep. It's so good. This whole thing is great. Miranda gets taken away, though, like she's not part of the whole thing. She gets like put back into she's with Fox.
Yeah.
So they get what the hell? Bruce escaped, and then Crane judged the guy who worked with Daggett. And then
No, that was earlier.
No, it was after Bruce makes it.
What's after he got judged? I thought it was before Bruce got out. He was judged. I can't remember.
I don't know. This is the way my notes were.
That's okay. We already talked about it anyway. So.
Yeah. And Foley is a little bitch. He goes and hides in his house, and Gordon is like, yo, what are you doing, man? Like, what the heck is going on? Like,
You send your wife to the door?
Yeah, like, you can't even, we gotta face this, man. This is the city's problem. This is, we gotta take our city back. And you hiding here it doesn't help. He's like, well, we're all gonna die anyways. That bomb's gonna go off. There's nothing we can do. It's like, whatever, dude. I'm not asking you to run down, the middle of the city with your blues on, which is like the fancy uniform. I just want you to stand up for your city and help take it back. And he's like, oh, whatever, and like kind of shuts him out.
Yeah, because Gordon and Batman essentially are the thought, like, Bane is not going to give the trigger for the bomb to just some random citizen
Right.
of the city. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit his MO.
No.
But everybody believes that there's a trigger man.
Yep. And this is, and then, Tate helps Gordon. We then cut to Bruce coming back, and he asks for Selina's help as Selina helps a little kid get away from some guys that are trying to take an apple back from him. It was she beats the shit out of him. And he has the clean slate for her, but she needs to help him. Like, hey, help me save the city, and then you can do whatever the hell you want. She's like, I'm probably just going to take that and go.
Yeah, right.
Like, there's really nothing for me here. This place sucks. And then, Gordon, everybody gets sentenced. They get the death by exile. Catwoman helps get Bruce and Fox to the reactor. And we get to see the old cave from The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Yeah, where they go with all the lights.
Yep. And then his suit comes out of that, compartment in the floor. Blake tries to rescue the cops, and I never knew this. Well, I mean, I hadn't seen this movie in quite a while, but the guy who grabs Blake when he's trying to rescue the guy from the manhole, like, the guy gets shot, and then there's the kind of is the black guy who comes up to him. That's the guy who plays Kratos in the newest God of War games.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't realize that.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he does the voice.
Just look up God of War.
He does the motion capture and the voice of Kratos in God of War 2018, and of course he's going to be doing it again in God of War Ragnarok. But I was like, that's Kratos. I was so pumped. I even have Kratos in my notes. So he throws him down, throws Blake down a ramp. Batman rescues Gordon and his men from the ice. I love it where he just comes out of the shadow. I like how they're all like so gently walking across this ice, and Batman's just walking across it like it's no problem. He's like, hey guys, he's like, here, light this up, and then he lights it, and it's a bat symbol in flames on the bridge, which is really cool.
Love Christopher Judge.
He's really
Bane
cool.
sees it. He's like, impossible.
He's like, impossible. Yeah, he was in like Stargate SG-1 or something like that, or he's in a Stargate show. Yeah. So the cops also get rescued by Blake and Batman, because I love when he throws the little thing and it just explodes. He's like, got anything more powerful in that belt? And then the freaking bat just comes and just blows a hole in it.
He's like, count to 5 and then throw.
Yeah.
Like,
Batman then gives the bat pod to Catwoman, and so she can clear another tunnel. She's like, I'm just going to leave. And then you get kind of her contemplating what to do. And you figure out later what her decision. Yeah, she's not heartless.
Not fully.
We get the cops versus prisoners face off in the streets. You get the couple of those tumblers, and then you get all the former prisoners of Blackgate and all of like the mercenaries and all that. And then you have all of the cops.
I'm sorry, this is a massive point of contention for me. Like, if you watch that scene when like the cops are running, like marching up to him and stuff, and there's obviously all those military dudes or like Bane's goons or whatever, and then like the few the Batmobiles or whatever, tumblers, like majority of those cops are armed with firearms. Why the fuck are they just running at them?
Yeah.
Like, why would you not get cover and like shoot from a distance undercover? Not just like run.
Should have been such an easy fight for the other guys.
Yeah.
For the prisoners, because they're like, they're just running at us. We do have like automatic weapons, and we have these tanks.
And you see him shoot, and like you only see like one or two go down, and it's like all on the ground. Like,
and Foley's in the front, and it takes him how long to die?
Oh wow!
Like, he dies like later on.
Yeah.
It was a very weird scene. I like how he shows up in his blues though. He shows up in the uniform that Gordon, said that he doesn't expect him to be in.
I get what they were doing. They were trying to make it obviously for dramatic effect. I understand that. It just logically doesn't make sense for me.
Yeah, it was a weird situation.
It leads to an entertaining scene.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like how Batman disables the tumblers so they can't shoot at them.
Batpod comes in.
Just and we get our Bane versus Batman round 2, which it's one of like the first fights you really see of Batman in the daytime.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't like because Batman is the Dark Knight where he fights in the shadows, but it's like in this movie it makes sense because of the situation. Batman is standing up for Gotham. He's standing beside the citizens of Gotham or the people who want to take it back. Yep. He's got to fight in the day. And Bane already knows who the fuck he is, so who cares?
Yeah, absolutely. Bane's not going to fall for his shadow tricks. It's not him. That's not how he can fight him.
He goes there as Batman to be a symbol to bring the morale up to get these people to fight. And a lot of them die.
Yes.
But this is a great fight.
I love when it's building up to where they're both beating the shit out of random people just to get to one another.
Yep. Yeah. It's so good. And it's a great fight.
Somebody just off to the side.
It's a great fight because you see Batman actually has some control over the fight. It's not like the first fight where it was all Bane. That Bruce is strategically able to, he's taken some blows here and there, but he's got the upper hand on Bane. He's figuring out his moves. He's getting him to the point where he's making him angry. Like he punches him in the mask and one of his little things comes out. So he's having a hard time. Like he's in pain. Like he's trying to fix it. Like he's scared. And so he gets really fucking amped up. So he's swinging so fast. He literally punches a pillar twice. I was like,
he's clearly out of the way. He's like, boom, boom. And just keeps fucking going.
Oh my God, dude. This dude is insane.
Dude, that very end where he's just boxing fucking Batman, just hammering on him. Obviously, it's because he's hurting and he's kind of getting desperate. Yeah. But he's just kind of going full bore. I just love that whole ending bit. I love the whole fight, but that bit, especially when he was hammering on the pillar and shit. Yeah. It's so good.
It's great. We get during the whole fight though, we shoot to Blake trying to get people out of the city. He's trying to get the kids from the orphanage out of the city. So he puts them in a bus and they're going to go down to the bridge. Gordon gets a sensor, senses that he thinks is the truck that's got the bomb on it. It's not. So they got to find the other truck. Batman is he's got the upper hand. He punches Bane a few times. He kicks him through a door and then knocks him into a thing, into I don't even know what the hell this place is, to be honest. And
I don't know.
He pretty much figures out that, he's trying to find out who's the trigger man. Where is he? Who's the trigger man?
Yeah.
And that's when Miranda comes up and stabs Batman in his ribs. And it's a nice callback to Batman or to The Dark Knight when he gets his new suit and he says, it's going to be more vulnerable to blades and guns. And so she gets him right in between those plates.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's in shock because he finds out that it wasn't Bane who was the child. It was Miranda, who is actually Talia al Ghul.
Yep, because Bane was her protector.
Yep.
Because he never actually escaped. He didn't make the jump.
Yeah.
To get
Funny
out.
thing is I believe Marion Cotillard and I think might be actually older than Tom Hardy, but I don't know that for a fact, but they have to be roughly around the same age, which is weird when she was a child and Bane was maybe a little younger. Bane ages well. Let's just go with that.
Well, I mean, she was born in 75.
And Hardy was born in 77.
Okay, so she's older than him. Mm-hmm. So she goes through the whole story about how, prisoners jumped her mother, I'm guessing to do not good things to her since she was the only woman in this prison. And Bane came to protect Talia and helped her. He was the one who helped her pretty much get her onto the wall so she could escape. And he got the shit kicked out of him by he got swarmed by prisoners and got disfigured. And Roz came later and found him, but then he was excommunicated because what was the reasoning behind his excommunication?
He didn't fit the ideals of the League of Shadows. Like he just saw him as a monster and nothing more.
Yeah. And yeah,
and a reminder of his wife and daughter being in that hole, because that's where he was from.
Right.
Yep.
And he pretty much, the only reason that he is doing this is because Talia, wanted his help. Was it really for, he states about how he wants to finish what Ra's al Ghul started, but it was more because Talia, was like, help me finish this. And he is her protector, so he is going to do whatever she says.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the trigger man.
Yep. She was a citizen. Not an ordinary one, but she was a citizen.
And Gordon finds the truck. He puts a blocker in there, and as she hits the button to blow it, and it doesn't do anything. So she's like, well, you just Gotham bought itself 11 minutes.
Yeah.
And then she leaves with the guy, the Deadshot character of this movie. He gets shot though.
Yep. And she tells Bane the same thing he essentially told the guy at the beginning, that he has to die there.
Yep.
Like that's his job.
Yeah. Oh, before though she shows up and reveals who she is, that's when Batman gives Bane the same saying that he gives to him.
Yeah.
He does the whole thing and he's like, and then after that you have my permission to die.
Yep.
Which I thought was a cool touch.
And this is actually something really fun. Actually, I really liked, as I don't know if it was because he felt he needed to finish what he had started with Batman, or if he was pissed at her for telling him to stay behind, which would be the second time that she left him, technically. That she says, don't kill him, that she wants him to feel the heat. Of course, the atomic bomb going off.
Yeah. But then when she leaves and she does the thing where you see Foley, he's still fighting. And then when she gets into one of the tumblers, she says, shoot them all. And then it shows Foley dead on the ground.
Yep.
And then when she leaves, Bane's like, you do realize I have to kill you now.
Yep.
And
he has a shotgun.
Yep. And then he gets shot by Catwoman, who's on the Batpod. Which
he's
is kind of a lame way to go. I kind of wish Batman was the one to do it. I hate that Catwoman was that, like, she took Bane out. Like, oh, okay, I guess that's it.
She just rolls up.
Yeah,
she says something like the whole no guns thing.
Yeah, it's like, I know you have your feelings on the no gun thing, but Batman and Catwoman work together to stop Talia. She drives around on the Batpod. He gets in the Bat, flies around. He's getting shot at by rockets. I love his maneuvering throughout all the buildings. Are really great shots.
Yeah. The homing missiles.
The dumb, we then go back to Blake, who's on the bridge trying to get across it. And you have the dumbass cops on the other side. One of them played by Quinn, who's from Dexter. Did you recognize him? That's the kid, the guy who plays Quinn in the original Dexter series, the one who was like always like, I think him and Deb had a relationship in the show. Yeah. He was like, don't you step 1 foot across this bridge or I will blow it. And he's like, are you fucking, like, dude, I got kids and I'm a cop.
2 steps and I'll blow it up.
Yeah, because they're still hung up on the whole Trigger Man thing.
Yep. And he blows it. And, Blake is pissed. He's trying to, like, convince everybody it's going to be okay. And the father's like, dude, like, we're going to die. Like, stop lying to these kids. We're all going to die. Batman he literally shoots the truck off course and it drives through, like, the median there. And it drives down to the lower level and just destroys it. Like, I don't think she would have been alive at all after that crash. I mean, she's fucked up. I mean, I think she's like fully paralyzed. The only thing she can do is move her mouth.
Yeah, right.
And she's pretty much like, it's too late. There's nothing you can do. Even if you got it back to the reactor, there's no way of getting it back on because she sets like an auto trigger on the flood system And Fox is down there. I love when everything goes wrong. He's like, oh no. It just has to run. Oh, climb up the ladder.
Yes, girls and boys is why you wear your seatbelt.
Yep. Definitely.
No, this scene is where I was so mad because I'm like, you're killing off my favorite character. I was so pissed.
What, Talia?
No, Fox. I thought he died.
Oh, I didn't think
In
that
this-
at all. I was like,
this
they can't kill
flood-
him.
Because
He's too good.
Because
Yeah.
she's like, there's no way out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't kill him.
Yeah, that would have been sad, but I don't know if I had that feeling. I was like, it's Fox. He's fine. He got out of
right.
There was a ladder. They put it there.
Because
If I saw him like get washed away, then I would have been like, oh no.
Yeah, right.
So Batman said, well, if we can't put it back, then I'm going to sacrifice myself. I'm going to get it as far out as I can. And, it is what it is. And they're like, oh, you can't do that? Like, you're going to die. And he's like, well, I got to do what I got to do. Either one dies or millions die. You got to make that. You got to make that choice.
Can't you just set a point?
Oh, he said autopilot. There's no autopilot.
Yep, no autopilot.
So he gets in the plane. That's when Gordon comes up. He's like, well, before you go, at least tell me who you are. And he tells him the whole thing is like about from when he put the jacket on him as a kid.
Yeah, because before that it says it doesn't matter who I am.
Yeah,
I could be anybody. I could be somebody as simple as comforting a kid, putting a jacket on a kid, trying to comfort him the night his parents died, and then just
to tell him it's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's it. And then it cuts back to that scene. Oh, dude, it's so good.
Yeah, and he flies away, and it kind of takes Gordon a minute to figure out what it meant, and then he goes, Bruce Wayne?
Like it hits him, yeah.
Dude,
that's the second time that happens in this franchise.
Yep. Batman flies away. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I like how this movie does that, where he tells people who he is without directly telling them who he is.
He'll just say like a line that they said to him. Like when he tells Rachel in Batman Begins, like the same line that she tells him when she sees him for the first time.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it. So he flies out there. You get the really, get the close-up scene of just him accepting his fate, and he's pretty far out. The bomb goes off. And in reality, if this bomb went off, even if it was as far as it was, you'd still get ripples. You'd still get waves. Still get some backflash from it, but whatever. We'll ignore that. And Blake throws his badge in the river. He gives up as being a cop. Gordon gives a speech at Bruce's funeral, which is literally just him, Blake, and Fox and Alfred.
That's it. Yep.
And this is where you get this scene where Alfred is crying. He's talking to Martha and Thomas about how he failed them, which is just, oh my God. Like,
heart-wrenching.
It's so heartbreaking,
Crushing, dude.
Seeing him like just bawling his eyes out. There was actually, in order to not show this in the trailers or in like certain, before the movie came out, they actually had Miranda Tate's name on the gravestone. Because they didn't know she was like what her character was in the movie, so they just put her name on it, and then it was just CG, so they just took it away, and it was Bruce the whole time. Like, why would her name be there at Wayne Manor? That's weird. We then get a Batman statue unveiling at, I'm guessing, City Hall or
Assuming.
which it's a weird looking statue, to be honest. So I feel like they didn't really work out the design on the statue as well.
Yeah.
They could have. It looks like he's wearing the suit he wears in Batman Begins. It's kind of bulky. It's like a very bulky statue.
Yeah.
Batman. Yeah. We then see them distributing different parts of so Wayne Manor is going to be turned into the orphanage, and Alfred pretty much has the rights to some of the stuff. And Blake goes and he gets some stuff too. He gets coordinates to the Batcave.
Yeah.
And you find out his name's Robin. Like, okay.
Maybe it's under my
legal name.
Yeah.
Oh, you should use Robin. It's a pretty name.
Mhm.
Like, of course he had to put that in there.
Absolutely.
And we then get Alfred. He goes to Italy, which then we cut back to Blake getting the coordinates to the Batcave. Then we get Gordon fixing the bat symbol up on the top of GCPD.
Well, I don't think he realizes it was. I always took it like he's up there and he kind of realizes that it's fixed. He's like, "Why is this fixed?"
Oh, really?
Looking at
I figured
he's
he
like
fixed
patting
it.
it, and he's
Well, because then you see him kind of look around and he looks like he's smiling, like he's like,
he's-
"Is Batman back?" Like we're
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I thought. That's what I assumed it was, but different interpretation.
Alfred sees Bruce and Selena while he's sitting at the cafe.
Across from one another.
Yeah, which is a story he told earlier. He said it was something that he would go to the same place. I think it was in Florence every year when Bruce was gone initially in the events of Batman Begins, and he would go there and he would always hope to look across and see, I was always hoping to look across and see you with a wife and a couple kids. And so
we wouldn't say anything to each other.
Nope. Just kind of go about your day. And that's kind of what you get here is when you just see Bruce and you see Selena. Now there's interpretations whether or not this is just him seeing things or is it actually Bruce and Selena. It makes sense that it's actually Bruce and Selena because Selena doesn't die. Like she wasn't part of him flying away. And Lucius is looking at the bat and talking about the autopilot and they go, oh, well, the autopilot's been fixed for the last 6 months. And they're like, what's the name on it? Bruce Wayne. You're like, oh, so clearly the bat had autopilot the whole time. He sent it out with the bomb and that was his way of escaping being Batman, escaping Gotham. You know, the city is fine. I don't need to be here now.
Yeah. But just in case.
Yep.
I'm gonna give it to this Blake guy because he seems to have a level head.
Hey, you know what? I wouldn't mind a Joseph Gordon-Levitt led like Batman
I'd like to
with him.
I would have liked to have seen him as Batman, just to see what he could do.
It's not gonna happen, but it would have been nice. It would have been cool. And that's it. That's it. That is the end of the Dark Knight trilogy. Whew. What a
tasty
journey.
As fuck.
7. Can you believe we've been talking about Batman for the last 7 weeks?
A lot of Batman.
We're not even done. We still got 2 weeks. 2 weeks left of Batman.
I'm quitting. It's fine. This is my last one.
All right. So we before we talk about all the stuff going on in the future, we're going to do our rankings. So let me pull up our list here. List, where are you? There you are. All right. So we're going to start. So we have 3 movies to add to our rankings. We have so for Batsuits, right now the list is number 1, Batman Forever. Number 2, Batman Returns. Number 3, Batman 89. And number 4, Batman and Robin. Where does the suit from Batman Begins go in that list? So where would you put the Batsuit in that list?
For Batman Begins?
Yeah.
Honestly, I would
say just move them all down and then put these.
So you think this is before the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, you think that Batman Begins should be better than all the other suits? Because I don't think it's the best suit, even from the other films. It a lot.
I put it at 2. I think I put it below the Batman Forever.
So
suit.
Forever.
Yeah, Forever begins
Returns 89 and Batman and Robin.
Yep.
Yeah, I can agree with
that. Go with that? All right.
Yeah, I can go with that.
So now we have to add in, I don't think the suits are that much different where I feel we need to do do you want to do a separate between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises?
I just lump them together because I don't notice a huge difference. Yeah. Nothing massive.
So where would you put these suits? Because I think these are number 1. A lot of people will argue this. Yeah. Some people don't like this suit because of the way it's like it's the most logical suit in Batman period.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I would
I think it
put
is.
this number 1. All right, so the Dark Knight / the Dark Knight Rises, Forever, Batman Begins, Returns, 89. People are gonna be so mad that 89 is that low.
They'll get over it.
All right. So our next list. All right. So our bat suits up until this point is number 1, The Dark Knight / The Dark Knight Rises. Number 2, Batman Forever. Number 3, Batman Begins. Number 4, Batman Returns. Number 5, Batman 89. And number, what did I do? 5, Batman and Robin. Next,
Wait.
It's the Batmobile. Now we're going to, we're not going to include like the Batwings. It's literally the vehicles. So we'll do the Bat Pod. We'll add that to Batmobile since that is a main form of transportation after the Batmobile gets destroyed. Unless you want to add the bat from, because I don't know. This is difficult. It's just like, this is the Batmobile. Do we even count? Dude. Do we even talk about the Bat Pod then?
Nah,
or we just talk about the tumbler?
I just
do the tumbler.
Yeah.
Okay. So where?
What do you think, there?
Okay, let me go through the list real quick, so you guys have an idea what the list is right now. So number 1 is Batman 89. Number 2 is Batman Returns. They're not much of a difference, but I figure we just do it that way. Number 3 is Batman Forever, and number 4 is Batman and Robin. So where does the tumbler go in this?
I like the tumbler.
I do too. But for me, I would put it at third spot because I like it as a Batmobile, but it's not really a Batmobile.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like an armored vehicle. Like I know it's a Batmobile, but it's not. But it looks better than the other from Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. So, which are just gussied up neon light junk.
So the Dark Knight trilogy, Forever, and BR. All right, so our new list is number 1, Batman 89. Number 2, Batman Returns. Number 3, The Dark Knight trilogy. Number 4, Batman Forever. And number 5, Batman and Robin. All right, next is villains. Currently, our list is number 1, Joker from 89. Penguin from Returns. Riddler from Forever. Mr. Freeze. Two-Face from Forever, and then Poison Ivy and Bane at number 6. Where does Scarecrow go in that list?
Fuck. Hold on.
I
I'm gonna tell you. Okay, he's under Jack Nicholson Joker.
That's it. You think he's better? You think he's better than Penguin from Returns?
Absolutely. I mean, you may disagree. Like, I'm just saying that's how I feel. If you want to be, I would give Penguin, because we didn't put Catwoman on that list, right?
No, because I don't count her as a villain.
Okay, worst case scenario, you could at least put him under Penguin. But I don't think
that's where I would put him. I definitely wouldn't put him lower than the Riddler.
You could fight the white power.
But I love him so much. I love Scarecrow.
I just feel like he wasn't in Batman Begins enough. Like, I feel like he wasn't in this trilogy enough to really put him at a higher level.
That's how I feel.
But even though he was actually in every single movie.
Yeah, for 5 seconds of every movie. Yeah.
Well,
even in his own, but I mean, he was in it longer in that one, but it just, I don't know. It just didn't, he wasn't as compelling as some other villains in this trilogy and some other villains in this series. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got to add, I mean, we add Ra's al Ghul in with him?
No, he should be separate.
Okay.
I don't think he should be lumped together.
Okay, so all right, so where do we put Raz? So we'll have Joker, Penguin, Scarecrow, Riddler, Mr. Freeze, Two-Face, Poison Ivy, Bane. So where would we put Ra's al Ghul?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I'd put him underneath Scarecrow.
Okay.
Because I think even though he wasn't as big, he's still better than, no offense, sorry, Jim Carrey and everybody underneath him. They're still better villain. He's still a better villain than all of them.
I don't think there's any villain in this trilogy that's going to be worse than Jim Carrey's Riddler. Like I enjoy Jim Carrey's Riddler, but these villains are just so compelling compared to those. Yeah. I think there's only one villain that is going to take over the top spot, and I can't, like, Heath Ledger's Joker is the greatest, not just the greatest Batman villain on film, but one of the greatest villains ever put on film. Yeah, he's just so good. Yeah. So,
like, you can't beat him.
Yeah, and then our last one would be Bane. Yeah, you guys go ahead. Where do you think Bane should go?
Because obviously we know where Heath Ledger's going.
Oh, we did. I mean, we already talked about the Batman Begins, so I might as well talk about, the Joker. Do we want to put Two-Face from Dark Knight?
Oh shit.
I think he's better than Scarecrow. I do. I just don't like. I like Killian Murphy and I like the Scarecrow, but I just feel like they didn't use him enough. He was
I feel
in the
the same
movie
about
for like
Two-Face.
maybe 6 minutes. Like,
I feel the same about Two-Face. But I mean, not. I mean, if you don't. I mean, if you count him separate than just Harvey Dent for the rest of the film,
yeah,
like him actually being Two-Face.
yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as just in the film, what he does in the movie,
Maybe I would put Two-Face below Riddler just for the fact that like he's only in it for such a short amount of time. This is tough.
I agree.
This is tough.
what do you think?
I agree.
Okay, that's fine. Do it.
Okay.
Put him below the Riddler.
And our final one would be Bane.
This is a hot.
Bane's. Well, I'm gonna group Talia with him
fuck her. I'm
because
saying Bane.
they work together.
I know. I'm just being. I thought honestly, Talia was entirely inconsequential to me. I mean, I know she was like that. You found, oh, she's the big person, but Bane did all the fucking lifting as far as like a villain in a film. He
Yep.
did like he was the presence. He was the big bad guy. He did all the big shit, even though she told him to do it.
Yeah.
I'm honestly this. You guys can put it however you fucking want him. I like Bane more than I like Jack Nicholson Joker. Personally, but I know that's not where he's going to go on that list because I adore him in that role.
I
loved.
Yeah, I don't know if I can agree with that, but I think I could put him below Nicholson's Joker, maybe even below Penguin.
I liked him.
I just don't agree, man. He was a fat man raised by penguins. I'm sorry, I couldn't. But you guys do whatever. I just put my opinion on the matter.
Where do you think?
I agree with you.
I have a wild opinion.
What, putting Bane?
Say he's the worst.
Saying Bane is better than Jack Nicholson's Joker?
Yeah.
Oh God, this is a big old oof. Ooh. But I mean, I'm outvoted, so I got to do it.
Don't hate us, people.
Oh, they'll hate us.
They'll hate us.
Stones will be tossed.
And then I will throw all the blame to you guys. I'll be like, they did it.
Please.
Blame.
We'll be blacklisted off podcast services now.
No one will listen to our show
again. He's gonna kick us off next week. Like he'll just be by himself. Like what happened? I don't know.
Oh, I'm trying to finish this list here. What the hell am I doing? Mr. Freeze.
He's fighting. You're fighting writing Bane is
no, like screaming internally.
Face and Poison Ivy / Bane. Okay, so our villain list is number 1, Joker from The Dark Knight. Number 2, Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. Number 3, Joker from Batman 89. Number 4, Penguin. Number 5, Scarecrow. Number 6, Riddler from Forever. Number 7, Two-Face from The Dark Knight. Number 8, did I say 6 or was that 7? Oh my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 8, Mr. Freeze. Number 9, Two-Face from Forever. And number 10 is Poison Ivy / Bane.
Woo!
Woo-wee!
Poison Ivy / Bane!
The last, or no, that's not right. Our next is Batman. This one will be a little bit easier because there's only one thing we got to do. Where is Christian Bale going on this list? I think I love Michael Keaton and I will always support Michael Keaton being Batman. I think he's one of the GOATs, but Christian Bale is my Batman. So he's number 1. So this is going to get a lot of hate and it's okay. I'll take it.
He does a great job balancing both sides of the character.
Yep.
So sandpaper voice aside,
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people's gripes.
Hold that to him.
A lot of people's gripes with his Batman. He just does such a great job being both Bruce and Batman. So our list for Batmans is number 1, Christian Bale. Number 2, Michael Keaton. Number 3, Val Kilmer. And number 4, George Clooney. Final list is the films.
Sorry, Mr. Clooney.
Right now,
films.
Our film list is number 1, Batman Returns. Number 2, Batman 89. Number 3, Batman Forever. And number 4, Batman and Robin.
Don't worry, that last one ain't going to change, guys.
No. To be honest, I don't think the last 2 are going to change.
Worse than that.
So, can we just have a common consensus that The Dark Knight is number 1?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
I want to put Batman Begins at number 2. Well, I don't know what you guys think between I have the placements in my head for these 3 films in this list. And I'll say them right now. I think Dark Knight is number 1, of course. Number two
Two.
is Batman Begins, and then I think I'm gonna put The Dark Knight Rises below Batman 89.
Ooh.
We'll give you that
Ooh.
one. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you that one. I'm gonna give it to you.
I'll let you win this one.
Since you lost your Joker spot.
So you guys are just giving this to me. Thanks.
No.
Thanks.
We gotta let you win one.
I don't have as much nostalgia for Batman or Batman Returns. So 89 Batman or Batman Returns.
Okay. So
Except for the game, because that is great music.
yeah, it is great music.
Ow.
I'm sorry.
Forever. Oh wait.
Mhm.
Dark Knight Rises. All right. So our new list for films is number 1, The Dark Knight. Number 2, Batman Begins. Number 3, Batman Returns. Number 4, Batman 89. Number 5, The Dark Knight Rises. Number 6, Batman Forever. And number 7, Batman and Robin. That is it. That's all of our lists. We still got 2 movies we're going to be reviewing during this series, but we are taking a week. We are taking a week off because next week we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary as a show. So we are going to be doing a live show next Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch. So make sure if you are not following us on Twitch, go over to twitch.tv/dissect that film, drop that follow, turn the bell on so you know when we're going to go live. But we will be live next weekend at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. And we're just going to be hanging out. We're going to be reminiscing about the last year. We're going to talk about, episodes from the past. We're going to be talking about some future projects and all that fun stuff. It's going to be a great time. So come in, hang out, talk in the chat. It's just going to be a really chill time. Drinks might be involved, it's going to be a good time. After that, we have 2 more weeks of Batman to go. I have determined that we are not going to cover Batman v Superman during this run, as we will cover that during the DC EU timeline, which consists of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, all those movies, since those all go together. We'll cover Batman v Superman during those films, but we will add it to our Batman rankings when we get to it. So we'll put Affleck into our Batman list. We'll put that movie into our Batman list, but I want to cover those as part of those other films because those all go kind of as their own universe. So when we come back from our break after our live stream next weekend, we're going to be hopping into the Lego Batman movie.
Okay.
And then we're going to be hopping into our full plot breakdown review of the Batman. And we might have a special guest for that episode. I won't say who it is because I got to make sure that person is going to be able to make it to the show because things can change.
Not you.
So I'm very excited. And then we're probably going to be doing a solo film. We're going to be doing just a one-off film like we do. We kind of like to take a break and do a couple. We might do a couple just because it's been a long journey with this series that we might need a palate cleanser and talk about a couple solo films. And then we'll hop into another series, which I will be putting a poll up on our Twitter. So if you're not following us on Twitter, make sure to go to Dissect That Film on Twitter. Follow us so you can participate in the poll because we're going to be putting up 2 series. And you guys get to vote on which series we're going to do next. It's going to be between the Predator series or the Terminator series. So 2 series that start with Arnold. So depending on what, doesn't matter what you pick, we're going to be reviewing an Arnold Schwarzenegger film first.
That's very true. Yep.
So I'm very excited for next week. I hope you all are. Make sure to check out our Slice of TV episodes we're going to have out this week. We're going to be covering, we covered the Halo episode 3, which will be out, should be out Monday. Wednesday or Tuesday, we'll be having we should have released our video debut of fucking Jesus with all these Resident Evil movies. Resident Evil Retribution.
It's almost over, dude. It's almost over.
We're not doing there wasn't a fresh cut this week just because of scheduling. We'll do a fresh cut the week after. We'll take a week off of that. And we released our episode 3 review of Moon Knight on Thursday, and then this episode is out on Friday. Yay!
All the content for everybody.
All the content. Oh, my lips are dry. I need a drink of water. A lot of Batman talks.
Sorry.
I can do that myself. If you really want me to.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, everybody.
Holy crap. We're not blacklisted.
I know. We got some people. We got some people who dropped some subs, and I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for dropping subs on the YouTube channel. Thank you for all the amazing, for dropping all those downloads on the show. It's great. Always great to open up to go into the app and see that people are actually watching the show, which makes me it's like, that's what the whole point is. I'm glad I'm not making this content for nothing.
Do you know what the other point is?
What's that?
The most important point is you need to go watch Jurassic Park 3.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So
thank you for knowing exactly what I was going to say.
So again, make sure to follow us on Twitch if you want to watch our live show next weekend. We will be posting it as a audio/video version on YouTube and the podcast services after. But if you want to watch the show live and interact with us in real time, come by the Twitch channel next Sunday, April 17th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a fun time. We might have some people that have been on the show hop in, talk about their experiences with the show, and it's pretty much a big thank you to everybody who has supported the show for the last year, and what we plan on doing, for year number 2. I'm very excited. It's been a great year.
I take questions from the audience too, right?
Yes, all that fun stuff. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, before we go on too long, everybody's yawning, so it's late during this recording. No, it's fine. I'm tired too, but I have to stay up for like 5 more hours.
Oh, sorry, dude.
Are you third shift?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So until we go way too long on this, I am your host, Brett Parker. That is Dan and Angela from DNA Gaming. We are Dissect That Film, and this has been episode number 50 of the Dissect That Film podcast. Until next time, have a great week. Bye.
Where is she?